Have you ever noticed how your pet seems to know you're coming home before you even arrive? Your dog starts wagging its tail moments before you park the car. Your cat waits by the door at the exact time you finish work, even when you're late. It feels almost magical, doesn't it? Like they can sense you, not through words or schedules, but through something deeper, invisible, and emotional. But what's really happening here? Is it instinct, science, or something we can't quite explain? Let's explore this mystery together, not to find one right answer, but to understand the beautiful bond between humans and their pets from both sides, psychology and reality. From a scientific and psychological perspective, animals are incredibly observant. They read patterns, not just visual ones, but emotional and environmental cues. Your daily routine, the sound of your footsteps, your scent, even the subtle vibrations of your car engine. These details become part of your pet's world. Dogs, for example, have a sense of smell between 10,000 and 100,000 times stronger than humans. They can detect the faintest scent particles that signal you're on your way home. Cats, though often quieter, are masters of environmental memory. They pick up on tiny sounds or energy shifts in the household that we humans completely overlook. From this angle, what feels like intuition might actually be sensitivity. Your pet is simply tuned into you, your habits, your patterns, your energy. They've learned, over time, what the world feels like right before you return. It's a form of attachment learning, the same kind of emotional synchronization that happens between parents and infants. But even science can't fully explain the emotional depth of this connection, because there's something more, something that feels almost spiritual. Let's look at the emotional and psychological side. For many pet owners, their animals don't just share their home, they share their hearts. Over time, the emotional bond becomes so strong that both begin to mirror each other's moods, behaviors, and even biological rhythms. When you're anxious, your pet feels it. When you're happy, they relax. Studies in behavioral psychology show that dogs' heart rates and cortisol levels often sync with their owners. That means your stress, your calm, your energy, it all transmits wordlessly. So when your pet knows you're coming home, maybe it's not just about sound or smell. Maybe it's because your emotional energy, that invisible frequency, changes as you get closer. You think about home, you feel anticipation, and somehow they sense it too. That's emotional attunement, the invisible communication between bonded beings. It's the same way you sometimes know when someone you love is thinking about you. It's not supernatural, it's connection. A deep, wordless understanding that lives in the spaces beyond logic. But let's be fair, not everyone believes this has to do with energy or emotion. Some people say, it's just routine. Pets learn patterns. And that's true, too. Maybe your dog knows that every weekday, around sunset, the sound of cars outside changes, signaling that it's time for you to arrive. Maybe your cat knows the smell of your perfume lingers in the air when you're near. Or maybe your pet has learned from hundreds of repetitions that when a certain silence falls over the house, it means it's time. That doesn't make the moment any less beautiful, because even in those simple routines, there's love, there's familiarity, there's the comfort of knowing someone so deeply that you no longer need words. And perhaps that's what connection really is. Not something mystical, but something meaningful. In psychology, this bond is sometimes described as attachment synchronization, a phenomenon that happens when two beings emotionally align over time. Just like long-term couples who finish each other's sentences, or close friends who can sense when the other is upset without asking, pets and humans share that same resonance. The difference is, animals don't overthink it. They don't question whether they should love you this much. They just do. They don't calculate how you'll feel when you see them waiting. They just feel. That's why their reactions are so pure, so instinctive, and so grounding. When you walk through the door and see your dog jumping with joy, or your cat rubbing against your legs, what you're really witnessing is a psychological echo of love. They felt you before they saw you. And in that moment, you realize you belong to someone who doesn't need proof to love you. Of course, some scientists still insist that this is conditioning, a behavioral loop reinforced over time. You come home, pet gets attention, brain rewards them, they anticipate your return. It's logical, measurable, and true in its own way. But what's fascinating is that even when routines change, you work late or come home early, many pets still somehow know. How can they anticipate something unpredictable? That's where psychology meets intuition. Because animals don't just rely on external cues, they rely on the feeling of time passing. For them, time isn't measured by clocks, it's measured by rhythm. By the pace of the day, the light through the window, the way the air feels at certain hours. And when you're bonded deeply enough, your emotional rhythm becomes part of theirs. So when you start heading home, their inner world shifts, too. It's like two invisible strings vibrating in harmony, even miles apart. From the human perspective, this bond can be profoundly healing. Knowing that someone, even an animal, is waiting for you brings a deep sense of safety and belonging. It tells you that your presence matters, that you are felt, even when unseen. And for pets, it's no different. You are their world, their source of stability, warmth, and love. Their ability to sense you is not about prediction. It's about devotion. It's their way of saying, "You are home to me." Now let's look at the other side. People who don't believe pets can sense emotions or energy at all. They might say, animals don't have that kind of consciousness. They just respond to patterns and training. And that view isn't wrong. Science can measure behavior, but not bond. It can analyze movement, but not meaning. Yet, even the most rational explanation still reveals something profound, that your pet has dedicated a part of its attention, its life, to you. Whether it's because of scent, habit, or love, the result is the same. They wait, they notice, they care. And in a world full of distractions, that kind of attention is a rare and powerful form of love. So is it science or soul? Maybe it's both. Maybe your dog knows you're coming home because of the sound of your car, and also because your heart and theirs have learned to move in the same rhythm. Maybe your cat knows when you're close because she feels the energy in the air shift when you think of her. Maybe we don't have to choose between logic and love. Maybe true connection always lives somewhere in between. Here's the truth most people forget. Your pet doesn't need to understand your words to know who you are. They read your tone, your breathing, your footsteps, your silences. They understand the language of presence, something humans often forget how to speak. And that's why they know when you're coming home. Because to them, home isn't a place, it's you. So next time you open the door and see those excited eyes waiting for you, take a moment. Feel what's really happening there. You're not just walking into a house. You're walking back into a bond that has been waiting, sensing, feeling your return. Maybe that's the purest kind of love we get to experience. One that doesn't need words, schedules, or explanations. One that simply knows. You and your pet share something deeper than logic. A silent understanding that life is better when you're together. And whether it's through science, emotion, or something beautifully unexplainable, that connection is real. So the next time your dog waits by the door or your cat stares out the window, don't dismiss it as coincidence. See it for what it truly is, a moment of love so natural, it transcends time and distance. Because sometimes the heart knows long before the mind catches up. And maybe that's exactly what your pet feels when you're on your way home. Have you ever experienced this with your pet? Does your dog, cat, or any furry friend seem to know when you're coming home, even before you do? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how your pet senses you.